Welcome to the Table Podcast. I am so incredibly excited to be here with you yet again, baby. It's week 2. It's episode 2, baby. Today, we are going to be talking all about relationships and how they begin with you. Okay. I'm Briana Pierrette. In case you do not know me, I'm so incredibly happy to be here. And really, what this podcast is all about is we're here to change the conversation about what you bring to the table and change the way that we connect to one another, right? I feel like the only way to do that is to really build a beautiful, solid relationship with yourself so that you can align with the right connections. And today's episode is all about how relationships really do begin with you. We think that relationships are so outside of us. We think that, you want to meet a certain person that's a certain way. And that's really the end of it, right? You want to build something with someone that's going to make you happy. But the truth is that every relationship you have, not just to people, but to things, your job, your technology, your street, your city, every relationship you have begins with you. It's an extension of you. It is mirroring you. And as much as we ask, what do you bring to the table? The truth is, everything we ask for when it comes to a relationship that is outside of who we truly are or outside of who a person truly is, all of the, what's it called? Surface level stuff that we talk about and we want and we call in is not what we're truly calling in. That's not what we truly attract. We attract what's going on inside. We attract frequency. We attract alignment, whatever is in alignment with us. So no matter how much we say we want something, we end up with the thing that actually aligns with us, right? Which means that there's not a single relationship you have, a single person in your life that's in your life by accident or is in your life that isn't an extension of who you are. There's a reason why you choose who you choose. There's a reason why you're interested in who you're interested in. And I believe that although we look for relationships to make us happy, to, build a life with, we actually need to start with building a relationship with ourselves. Like, we need to actually see how every single relationship we have, all of the good and bad that happens within those relationships, are all just reflections of our beliefs, our fears, what it is that we're calling in for ourselves, what it is that we don't want to deal with, how we grew up, what happened, a few years ago in old relationships, et cetera, et cetera. And so, one thing that is so important to start having, the kind of conversations that we need to have is, what conditions, what beliefs do I have are keeping me from actually knowing myself, like actually being myself? What part of me is calling in certain relationships because it's what my parents had? It's what my parents showed me is necessary. It's what I didn't have as a kid. A lot of times we are manifesting people, we're manifesting relationships from a scarce mentality or from a place of, I didn't have this, or, this is what I want because I've seen it. Not from an authentic, this is what I feel is truly meant for me, right? And it makes sense why we do that, because we're all just learning. We're all exploring this world, okay? All of us are. And so as we explore and as we get to know ourselves, as we get to know life, as we get to know what it is that we care for, we start building relationships based off of our conditioned self, based off of the version of us that really has been told basically our entire life, this is how you're supposed to show up. This is what will get you liked. Like, one of the things that I was told since I was young is, I'm not going to find a man if I don't know how to cook and clean. Like, it's just impossible for me to find a man. And so that was a true, like, thing in my head. I was like, oh my God, if I can't cook and clean, like, I'm going to be single forever. And that was interesting because for me, that wasn't enough to get me to cook and clean. You know what I mean? I was just like, if I don't find a man, I don't find a man. I don't know why I was like that, but I was just like, I don't know what to say. And when I ended up in a relationship where, we lived together, I didn't do much of the cooking and the cleaning. I actually realized it's not that I don't know how to clean. It's just people like things the way that they like it. And at the time, I was the kind of person that, I started to clean every day. I was sweeping and doing as much as possible or whatever the case is. And then my boyfriend at the time would come home and like re-clean, or like if I cleaned the toilet or something, he likes it a certain way, so he'll go ahead and re-clean it. So I felt just unappreciated. If I made something, he didn't like it, or I put too much salt in it, or he just wants it more simple, more plain or something, and I would feel unappreciated. I would feel like, okay, well, I must suck at cooking. I must, at the time I didn't really like edits, like I wanted people to just feel really good about what it is that I did, especially if I surprised them or if I gave them something. That was a thing for me. I cared to surprise people. I like to surprise people. I like to make people happy. And I had this belief for a long time that I can't make people happy with what I create, right? It has to be outside of myself. So I became someone that didn't really care to cook and clean because I grew up in a space that constantly told me that I didn't know how to cook and that I wasn't a good cleaner, right? So I became the kind of person that would spend my money on that instead, right? I'd rather buy it for you so it gets done the way you like it so that you're happy than to do it and you be unhappy, right? And I lived my life like that for such a long time. I was conditioned to believe that I can't cook and clean. And on top of that, my like who I am, my fears, my own ego didn't really like to be told that I was bad at something. So two things are happening at once, and I'm putting myself in this position where I'm just like, okay, you know, I'm just gonna sit back and I'm just not gonna try because people don't like it or whatever the case is. And I end up in this relationship where I have this man who loves to cook and like had this routine at home where he cleaned every Sunday with his mother or whatever the case is, or every Saturday or something like that. So I attracted somebody who could show me something, show me a life that in my head I want no parts of. Like I started telling myself I hate cooking. Like I don't like to cook, and I attracted somebody that loves to cook. And so now he's cooking all the time, and I'm like, okay, this works. And so I tell myself that I want a man who cooks, right? Not a man who cooks so that we can cook together and be cute, but I keep telling myself I want a man who cooks, and I keep telling myself that I don't like to cook. But the more I would watch him cook, the more I wanted to cook. But I wouldn't say that out loud, right? I would just kind of just be like, anyway, you don't really like my food, so whatever it is you want to make, that's fine. And I would make certain things. Like he liked my rice, so I'm like, okay, fine, I'll make rice, right? There were things that I would make and the things I would explore with, where it was for the idea that he likes it. I was like, okay, if you like it, I'll do it, right? And so I convinced myself that I don't like to cook. I convinced myself that I don't like, to clean, all because of what people have told me in the past. Come to find out, as I've gotten to know myself, as I've allowed myself to be authentically who I am, I love cleaning and I love cooking and I love to experiment with new stuff. And cooking is still something that I'm learning, and I'm still kind of just like figuring out, what do I like to cook and what do I like to do. But I'm learning I do love it. I do enjoy it. Like I'm the kind of person, I love going to the grocery stores. I love organizing things. I love to do the stuff that most people don't love. Like my favorite chore is laundry. People dread that, right? I enjoy washing dishes. At the time I didn't, because being a kid, I was told that I don't wash the dishes right, and no one taught me necessarily how to. My conditions, the things that I was told and then started to believe, started to like lead up into adulthood, which then led into my relationship. And so the relationship that he was in with me was a version of me that didn't cook and didn't clean. And so I ended up, being the girl in the situation that just didn't do what, women are supposed to do. And for me, I always felt bad about that. I always felt like, I wasn't good enough, or I always felt like I just wasn't the kind of woman that men want to be with in general. I'm just like, I was already told that I'm going to be single forever if I don't know how to cook and clean. And that was my condition. That was a conditioned thought, to the point where now I'm in a relationship with someone who, literally not now, but at the time, I was in a relationship with someone who loved to cook, loved to clean, and just didn't like my food. Right. So now even when I want to learn, even when I want to like piece things together, he's looking at me and kind of telling me like, you're wrong, or it's bad, or, he doesn't really want to eat it as much, or it goes to waste, or whatever the case is. And I started to piece together that In that relationship, what I received from him, it wasn't a him thing. It was a me thing. I already entered that relationship telling myself that I hate cooking and I'm not good at cleaning because I believed that for such a long time. And so I attracted someone who is what seems good at cleaning and decent at cooking and good at making certain things happen. And it just constantly poked at the fact that I'm not good enough in these areas, that I can't do these things. And then he reaffirmed it for me. And that was something that hurt me, right? Because any little thing I would try, it was never good enough for him. I always felt like I just wasn't good enough for him. He didn't care for the things that I put out there. And I could turn around and I could blame him for that. I could be like, you just never cared to try with me. You never cared to teach me. You never cared to work with me. But it wasn't about him. That's how I felt about being a young kid and people making fun of my food and making fun of my cleaning instead of helping me to learn, because I didn't mind learning, but I didn't like how I felt when people were pointing fingers and laughing, telling me that I don't know how to do anything. And I brought that into my relationship and then experienced it. The relationship started with me, but for a long time, I believed that it wasn't me, it was him. He's like this. He didn't appreciate me. He didn't care for this. And I bought that into the relationship and I didn't really realize that I bought it in until I had a moment with myself. The person I am today loves to clean, loves to cook, and I love the way that I do it. I love having my own way of doing things. I love the days that I wake up and I get to do my laundry and I get to organize my room and sweep and get things done. And I love the before and after. I'm learning to cook and I love putting things together and seeing how good it tastes. I love doing, like charcuterie board breakfasts where I make a whole meal and I make, the table look really nice. I love doing that stuff because that's my authentic self. But as a kid, I allowed other people to convince me that that's not who I was. This right here is what we do and how we enter relationships. And the experiences that we have with people, we're constantly thinking that it's outside of us, but it's not. It's not at all outside of you. Every relationship you have begins with you. It starts with you. You bring in a certain energy. You've attracted this energy. And it's here to help you grow, to help you shift, to help you think differently, to help you move differently. You attracted it on purpose. And what we do is we say, when we ask the question, what do you bring to the table? We're not asking the question from a perspective of, so, what are some things that still hurt you? What are some beliefs that you have that stemmed from your parents that you'd be bringing into this relationship? If we had those types of conversation, I could literally say, honestly, I don't think I can cook because my family always made fun of me when I would cook. So I believe that I'm like the worst cook in the world. And now that kind of clarity starts to help the entire relationship, both people, everyone included, to start moving differently, to start operating differently because this truth is there. There's an authenticity here. I think I dislike cooking, but truthfully, it has nothing to do with cooking. I just don't like when people don't like what it is that I made because I want to make them happy. And if they're not happy with what I cooked, I'd rather buy them food. I'd rather buy them what they want than to cook it, right? Because I want them to enjoy their food. I also don't want to waste food. So to see that when I cook, everything goes to waste and nobody eats it. But when other people cook, or when, there's restaurants that we go to where I order from, everyone's happy, I'd rather do that. That's a truth that I can understand within myself. And now I have a choice. I can either choose to continue living that way, or I can choose to actually make the decision for myself. Do I like cooking or do I not? I can learn to cook more. I can do a little bit more. I can be authentic and real and say, I don't even know how I feel about my own food because I was always just allowing other people to tell me, right? Every relationship begins with you. And we do this thing where we think it's not. It has nothing to do with us, that we're just two complete strangers that come together and decide to be together. And now everything that this person doing has nothing to do with us and vice versa. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Your relationship, it literally begins with who you are conditioned to be, who you show up as, right? Two different people sometimes. Sometimes you show up as the perfect man. Sometimes you show up as the perfect woman, but your conditions tell you otherwise. And naturally, you never attract what you wrote down on paper. You only ever attract who you are. You only attract who you need. You attract the version of the person that you need in your life that's going to help you to push forward, move forward, change, whatever the case may be. Relationships start with you, and they will always start with you, and usually they will end with you as well. If you don't learn to love yourself, if you don't make time to learn yourself, you're gonna spend the rest of your life learning yourself through others. That's why it's so incredibly important to be your most authentic self, to start off as your most authentic self, to know yourself enough and be willing to show up in relationships as you. Because those who aren't for you will weed themselves out. Or you'll go through the process of being around them as your conditioned self, as your not authentic self. And the more authentic you become, the more you learn, the more you grow, the more you have to lose. The more you have to go through the heartbreak of letting go. The more you have to experience lessons, because that's what you're calling in, is lessons. Because you don't want to do it with yourself. You don't want to be in a relationship with yourself. Heal and work through your own stuff. Every relationship you enter is literally a relationship with a certain version of you. People who enter relationships that end up jealous of their partners, it's because they are feeling an energy of, wow, you possess things that I feel like I could do, I could have. But when you have a beautiful relationship with yourself, when you are authentic, when you both are authentic with yourselves and one another, that's when you really see relationships thrive. That's when two people are willing to work through the differences, work through what it is that they're doing, when they both understand that they're individuals that have attracted each other for a reason, both beautiful reasons and not so easy reasons. Your relationship begins with you. So when you ask yourself, well, what does this person bring to the table? You must also ask yourself, what's on my table that I'm also attracting? What's on my table that I'm also calling into my life? It's not just about what they're bringing to the table. You're also attracting something into you, not because you said it, but because of who you are. So, how much you've healed, or how much you have learned, or who you are on the inside, even if you think you're hiding it well and you don't show it immediately, energy doesn't lie. And you can only really attract the frequency you're on. This is why a lot of times we'll meet people that show up a certain way, but as we get to know them, we're shocked at what we receive. And even then, that shock, we can't be so shocked with, because it's in alignment with us some way, somehow. Whether it is teaching something about our boundaries, it's teaching us about what we accept in our lives, it's teaching us about our own parents, it's teaching us about our own siblings, it's teaching us about, the toxic parts of us that we need to work through and get through. One way or another, whatever it is that we're attracting, it's not just about what they bring to the table. Whatever it is that they bring to the table, some way, somehow, you're also bringing to the table too. So when we ask that question, we have to think deeper. Not just about the physical things, not just about the money, not just about the things that can be done, but truthfully, who are you? Inviting you into my life means what? Attracting you into my life means what? What exactly do I have going on that's attracting you right now? Who exactly can I say I truly am on the inside without all the stuff? Authentically, who am I on the inside that has attracted someone like you? And what part of my life are you connected to? Are you connected to the part of my life where I am consistent and on top of my game and truly believe in expansion and growing? Are you connected to the part of my life where I actually do need to learn boundaries and don't know how worthy I am? And you're here to teach me that, right? There are so many reasons why we attract who we attract, and we need to be having deeper conversations. But the truth is, it begins with you. Everything you attract, every person you're with, you don't just attract the person you want. You attract who you are. They can look great. They can have all the money in the world. They can literally be the kind of people that give you everything. They can be the nicest people in the world, but you're always going to go through what it is that you need to go through so your soul can grow. That's how this works. Your soul's growth is the number one priority. And so making sure that when you are connecting with people and seeing who they are and things of that sort, you are also in a place where you're saying to yourself, okay, I love that I'm meeting this person. I love that this is fantastic and this is working. What are they here for? What's the connection about? I know that I want romance. I know that I want friends. I know that I want those things. But what is this connection truly about outside of the initial attraction? What exactly is this mirroring back to me? How are we growing together? How can we grow together? How can this relationship benefit the both of us? What am I mirroring to them and what are they mirroring to me? And we're going to talk more about mirroring in a few episodes from now, but this is something that we really should look at. Everyone we attract into our life, some way, somehow, is a mirror. Some way, somehow, we've attracted because of who we are on the inside. Because every relationship begins with you. And if you don't learn who you are, you're only ever going to learn through people. That is the best way that we learn ourselves. But to stop attracting misaligned relationships and continuing to go through the same lessons again and again, you must be in a position where you have a beautiful relationship with yourself. You're authentic in yourself, that you know who you are and you show up yourself in every which way. That right there is so incredibly important. Okay? So we're going to end that right there. I really hope that you're able to take something away because I'm telling you, this is not a joke or a drill. It starts with you. Every relationship begins with you. Every relationship with people and the things around you, it starts with you. And it's an extension of you. It is getting you to see something, to learn something, to experience what it is that you deserve. And we deserve both the beautiful things that happen and the not so comfortable things that happen because it's all within your soul's expansion that they're taking place. That's the intention, for your soul to expand. So relationships begin with you. Whatever they're bringing to the table is an extension of what you have on your own table, what you have called into your own table one way or another. So if you attract someone shallow, there's a part of you that has shallowness on your table, and you need to take a look at that. Because if you don't like the shallowness in them, you must take a look at your own table and ask yourself, where am I shallow? Even if it's not at the forefront with everyone, where am I shallow towards myself, towards others, towards one person, towards a thing, towards certain animals? Where am I shallow? Anything you're bringing to the table, they have on their table, and anything they're bringing to the table, you have on yours. So what's on your table? Start this week really tapping into understanding who you are. Get to know yourself authentically outside of all the stuff. Take away the career, take away the net worth, take away, all the accolades. And who are you? Who are you? Not just the good, but the bad. The things that you consider to be bad, the parts of you that you would rather hide, that you would rather nobody know, is true. Get clear on that. Because the clearer you get with that, the more aligned relationships you can start to call in. Because now that you're clear about who you are, you then give yourself the option. Do I want to continue operating in this way? Or is this something worth changing, shifting, healing through? These are the decisions that you get to make. And this is how you start to attract very aligned relationships. Hopefully this is helpful. Let me know what you think. How are you getting to know yourself? What are some of your practices and how you connect with who you are? And until next time, you know that I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for being here. If you are not yet subscribed, make sure you do. And if you are subscribed, you know I love you. Thank you so much. And until next time, bye.